DeLancy, alias Vote Checker, and this is Vote Fraud Matters. Tonight, we're going to talk to you about pieces of paper and the significance of pieces of paper in an election. I want to start with a video, and then we'll go from there, and then we'll wrap out. Okay, let's roll the video, please.
And I was waiting in line to vote. There's about 15 people in line. And there was a guy in front of me, normal looking fella. And I was right behind him, and he had his hand like this, and he had a little piece of paper in his hand. And every once in a while, over his shoulder, I'd look, and he was looking at this piece of paper. And he did it about 10 times in about 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And I could see the piece of paper had a name on it. Just a single piece of paper, and it had Sam Brown or some name on there, and I don't remember what it was now. And he was looking at it. I was wondering, why in the world was he looking at this piece of paper? Well, we came up to when you get your ballot, and they said, "What's your name?" And he said, "Sam Brown," and they gave him a ballot, and he voted. And I was next, and I was confused because I thought, why would this guy have to have his name on a piece of paper? And then they asked me, and I got my ballot. But as I was voting, I realized that guy was a voter fraud person. He was not Sam Brown. He was somebody else voting in that situation.
It was a non-marked white school bus, kind of looked like a church bus, and about 45 to 50 individuals, elderly folks, exited the bus, and each one of them was taking a piece of paper out of their pocket and presenting and reading their address to the chief judge, and they were given voter ballots and on the vote.
I happened to notice a Hispanic woman step up to be the next one in line to vote. She had this piece of paper in her hand. She unfolded it, and she began to attempt to say what was on the piece of paper. And it appeared to me that she was trying to say a name in English, a first name and a last name, and an address. But she was having so much trouble with it.
What do you mean?
Her ability to pronounce the name and the street address in English was such that it was completely impossible to understand what she was saying.
Wow.
It got to the point where the poll worker finally just reached up and took the piece of paper from the woman, had the name and the address on the piece of paper, flipped through the records in the laptop, found the name and the address, and printed out the ATV form, gave the woman the ATV form, sent her on the way, and gave her a ballot.
We got two problems here. Number one, long term, we need photo ID, but we don't just need any photo ID. We need a government photo ID that can be authenticated, maybe the same as like a bartender would authenticate an ID that you're using. So it has to be a legitimate ID card, which is what we had in our law before our Attorney General decided to withdraw the case when it was up for appeal at the Supreme Court. He just abandoned the case. A guy named Josh Stein and can't believe he's still got a law license actually because of what he did. At any rate, we're stuck with that, and so now we're going for a constitutional amendment in North Carolina. So if you want to help us with this, that's one problem, is vote for the constitutional amendment. You can help us. Go to NC Voter ID on Facebook, or securethevotenc.org is our website. Those are things you could do to help push voter ID from an electoral perspective. The other side of it, though, as the video says, go to our parent site where the research happens. It's voterintegrityproject.com. Why? Because we need observers. We need to train you in how to observe correctly. In the past, if you've ever observed before, you probably wasted your time. In fact, I would guarantee you wasted your time because you didn't know what you were doing. No offense to the Republican Party or the Democrat Party, but they were looking for certain things, none of which were what we're looking for. What we're looking for is called evidence. It's the evidence that stands up in investigations. We've worked with law enforcement to develop a way of creating incident reports or observer reports, but they're incident reports that describe the time, the place, the people who witnessed it, and the incident you observed, and you sign the bottom of it under penalty of perjury. These documents will stand up under in the court of law. If you want to see what one looks like, go to our website, voterintegrityproject.com, and look up report fraud. Click that link and look into that, look at the form. It's a PDF form, you download it, you fill it out, and ultimately you'd scan it or take a picture of it and send it to us, but you have to sign it. So it's the kind of thing that our friends in California have used quite effectively at the Civil Rights Commission to create over, I think it was around 10,000 pieces of evidence of fraud that was going on in California. We've never done this. We took that form, they say plagiarism is the most sincere form of flattery, and she gave us, the board of California gave us permission. California's Election Integrity Project California is the name of the organization, or EIPCA. If you look at their site, they're great, and they're working in California. They're doing what we're doing here, only they're a lot more advanced than we are. I'm ashamed to say. They teach me so many things to do to make this work well. But this incident report form is what we're going to need for the election. So if you want to give observing one more shot, because people like this cannot be caught unless you document. And that's the takeaway for tonight. I might have one other question. If any election officials are watching this, is what would you recommend? What intervention would you recommend if you're an election official that we could take as observers that would not interfere with civil rights laws and interfering with the rights of that voter? I'd love to ask that voter a couple of questions about who they are. Obviously, if they don't know their name and address, there's probably a lot of things they don't know, like what color hair they have, or how old they are. Maybe how old they are. That'd be a good one. You know, I hate to tip them off, but let's face it. You've got your lookup file, and it shows how old they are. Why don't you ask that person who's reading their name and address? Ask them, how old are you? That might be an interesting question. If they didn't know how old they were, then what? Then are you allowed to let them vote provisionally and write down there, voter did not know how old she was or how old he was? Can you do that? I've asked an attorney in the election law business, and he said, no, you can't. You'd be suppressing their right to vote. So this is a challenge to the people who are Board of Election people watching this video, is what are you going to do about this? What mitigation is there that you can allow that won't get me in trouble as an observer if I do anything? And if I can't do anything, what about the chief judge? What can they do? I've been told the only thing we can do is file a challenge, but the burden of proof is on me, the challenger. Okay, and if I can't ask that voter any questions, how do I prove anything? Even though I just sat there and watched this voter read his or her name off of a piece of paper. And as the one guy, as Jimmy said, the voter couldn't even pronounce the name she got. She was Hispanic, she's reading pardon the term, she's reading a gringo name, and she couldn't pronounce it. And the election officials got so upset that they grabbed the paper from her and just loaded the information in all by themselves and let her vote. Why? because they had no other alternative. And that's not good enough. As we're getting our elections stolen right in front of us in slow motion, the election officials have a duty to make this right on the spot. They can't count on observers being there because it's hard to get observers in there. I need volunteers. I need you. Check out our websites. If you think you might want to be an observer, we'll train you and you do it right. VoterIntegrityProject.com. If you want to help with voter ID, come on over to securethevoteinc.org or look for us on Facebook. And it's sad that we have different names for it, but our Facebook is NC Voter ID. All right, that's it. Pieces of paper. That's what we're up against. I'm Jay DeLancy, alias Vote Checker, and we're out of here. Thanks for watching.